Hey ladies and gentlemen, this is Miss Humbert here, and today we're going to be doing Unit 7, Notes 5. So we're going to be talking about permutation word problems. So we worked on the permutation formula yesterday. I want you to make sure you have that rewritten on this note sheet because that will help you remember the formula as you're going through these notes. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's take a look at that formula. So remember, N represents your total number of objects, and R represents the number of objects from that total that you are actually using. And then our formula is N factorial divided by N minus R factorial. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at number 1. You're lining your friends up to take a photo during your trip to Route Mushmore over spring break. There's 8 of you, but only 4 can fit in the photo. So 8 is our total. 4 is our photo. So we have 8P4 as our formula. So now we're going to write that into our formula. So we have 8 factorial divided by 8 minus 4 factorial. Because remember, we're taking our total minus the number that we're choosing. Well, let's simplify that out some more. Then we have 8 factorial divided by 8 minus 4 factorial, which is 4 factorial. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to write out those numbers. So we have 8 times 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. For 8, and then on the bottom we have 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. So let's go ahead and cross off what's overlapping. 1, 2, 3, 4. So then what's left over is this right here. So our answer then is 8 times 7 times 6 times 5. When you multiply all of those out, you get 1,600 different photos that you can take based on the way that students are, or your friends are lined up. So when we talk about lined up in a photo, that implies that order matters because things are in a line. All right, let's take a look at number 2. The manager of a copy shop needs to hire 2 employees, one to work at the counter and one to work at the drive-thru. So to me, that says we need 2 positions. Okay, Katie, Bob, and Alicia all applied for the job. So we have 3 applicants, but we're only picking 2 positions. So let's go ahead and let's calculate that out. So on the top, we have 3 factorial. On the bottom, we have 3 minus 2 factorial. So then that's equal to 3 factorial divided by 1 factorial. So then we get on top 3 times 2 times 1, and then on the bottom, it's just 1. So let's go ahead and let's cancel some things out. Well, we can cancel out our 1, and then we're just left with 3 times 2, which is equal to 6. So there's 6 different ways, it's a word problem, so to put some sort of label, that we can assign people to those positions. Okay? All right. Next, let's take a look at number 3. So for number 3, there are 10 finalists in a figure skating competition. How many ways can gold, silver, and bronze medals be awarded? Well, let's think about that. So there's 10 finalists, and we're picking 3 of them. And the order matters, right? Because the gold is totally different than a bronze, right? So let's go ahead and let's calculate this out. So we have 10 factorial, and then on the bottom, we're going to do 10 minus 3 factorial. So then we have 10 factorial divided by 7 factorial. So let's go ahead and let's simplify that out. So we have 10 times 9 times 8 times 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. And then we're going to divide that by 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. And now we need to cross off what's matching. So 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1 are all matching. So then left over, we have 10 times 9 times 8. So then we have 10 times 9 times 8, and that's going to give us 720 different ways that we can multiply for those medalists. Okay, next, let's take a look at number 4. So for number 4, a newspaper has 9 reporters available to cover 4 stories. So the order does matter, because if I assign Mr. Yonker a story about giraffes and I assign Mrs. Ross a story about lions, a different way would be to assign Mr. Yonker a story about lions and Mrs. Ross a story about giraffes. So the order does matter here. So there's 9 reporters available, but we're only covering 4 different stories. So what you should be starting to notice is that the smaller number is always your R. So we have 9 total, but we're only picking 4. So let's go ahead and let's plug that into the formula. So on top we have 9 factorial, and then on the bottom we have 9 minus 4 factorial. So then we have 9 factorial divided by 9 minus 4 factorial, which is 5 factorial. Now let's go ahead and let's write that out. So on top we have 9 times 8 times 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. And then on the bottom we have 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. And so we can cross out our overlapping. And when we do that, what we have left is 9 times 8 times 7 times 6. So that's what I need to multiply out, 9 times 8 times 7 times 6. And when you multiply that out, you get 15,120 different ways that we can assign reporters to cover that story. Next, let's take a look at number 5. So Ms. Brisky asks pairs of students to read statements in Spanish and translate them to English. So we're choosing pairs. So if we're choosing pairs, that means that we're picking 2. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 5 students and we're putting them in pairs, which means we're picking 2. So let's go ahead and let's calculate out that permutation. So on the top we have 5 factorial, and on the bottom 5 minus 2 factorial. So then that gives us 5 factorial divided by 3 factorial. So now let's go ahead and multiply that out. So then we have 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. And then on the bottom 3 times 2 times 1. So we can cross off what's being overlapped, and then we have 5 times 4. Well, when you multiply 5 times 4, that's going to give you 20, and I'm going to write ways, or you could write 20 pairs. So we can make 20 different pairings based off of that number of students. Okay, so let's take a look at just a review quick. So we want to solve this system. So this one, to me, substitution seems the easiest. I see that y is equal to 2x. So that means y and 2x are the same thing. So where I see y down there, I can plug in that 2x. So I have 3x plus 2x is equal to 25. So now I need to solve that for x. Well, 3x plus 2x is 5x, and that's equal to 25. So now I see that 5 is being multiplied by the x, so I'm going to divide both sides by 5, and then I get that x is equal to 5. So x and 5 are the same thing. So where I see x up here, I can plug in a 5. So I'm going to take that x out completely and put 5 in instead. And 2 times 5 is 10. So then I'm going to write my answer out as a coordinate point. First my x, and then my y. So you will have a review like that on your practice sheet, so make sure you reference your note sheet. So that concludes your note video today. Go ahead and show me a completed note sheet once you're done. Thanks for listening.